space. I'm not sure how exciting this topic is going to be for people, but it's a topic that I really like. I'll tell you something, when you grow up out in the countryside, you tend to really enjoy the night sky, because where I live, it is very dark at night. So when you live out in the country, there are no city lights, so you tend to have a very dark night, and you can see the stars and the moon really well. So I love space. Ever since I was a little kid, I have loved space. So I'm not talking about like the space around me. I'm talking about the space that is up in the sky. So we're going to do a lesson today about space. Welcome to everyone who is here. Hello to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for joining me. I have to apologize that there was no lesson last Friday. Sorry that I missed one, but I was at a conference in the city of Toronto. I was learning how to be a better teacher. And I was just going to show you this morning, one of my teacher friends brought this mug in to our workplace. It says best teacher ever. So I thought I would use it. I don't think I'm the best teacher ever, but I thought it would be fun to use that mug. So hello to the 82 people and all the others joining. We're going to learn some English words and phrases on the topic of space. So I think that the one cool thing about this topic is everyone can look up at the night sky from somewhere in the world, and they can see space and they can see stars. So it's a really cool topic. So when I talk about space, there's two ways we describe space, actually three ways. We just call it space. Sometimes we call it outer space. And sometimes when telescopes are looking really far, we call it deep space. So very far away, you will have deep space. But generally, we just refer to it as space. It's kind of cool. I think that I would have liked to have been alive when they landed on the moon. I know people who are older than me were able to watch the first moon landing, but I have always liked space. It's one of the reasons why I like to read science fiction, is because I really like the topic of space. We live in a solar system. So you can see here, we have the sun on one end, and I think Earth is right here, and you can see our little moon. But the solar system is how we refer to our sun and the planets that are orbiting our sun. So we live in a solar system. The sun provides solar energy to the planets. We are the third rock from the sun. That was a television show about 10 years ago. We're the third planet from the sun. So we live in a solar system, and it's pretty cool. I'm going to try and name the planets. We have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. I'm gonna mess up now. We have Uranus and Neptune. I don't know if I got those in the right order. There is another planetoid, I guess a smaller rock out here called Pluto, but those are your planets in our solar system. Just going to stop for a minute to let you know that Todd will be posting a link. If you have questions, you can jump in the chat and you can follow that link to the form that lets you ask a question. If you're new here, don't forget to click the subscribe button over there to subscribe to my channel. I usually do 1 or 2 live streams, live lessons every week, and I usually do a new video every week. Just gonna stop for a second, say hi to Todd. I am very grateful that Todd comes and helps moderate the chat. Please use the chat to talk to each other. Please don't use the chat to ask questions. And just so you know, I'm not an expert on space, so I might make some small mistakes. Hey, people who study space are called astronomers. The one thing about astronomers that I find interesting is that they are awake at night usually, because the best time to look into outer space, the best time to look at the night sky is obviously at night. So they tend to sleep during the day and they tend to work at night. This is one of the reasons why I am not an astronomer because I really need my sleep. It's very important for me to get sleep, but you can see this person is looking up at the sky. When you study the night sky, when you study space, we call it astronomy. So someone who is an astronomer would study or be in the field of astronomy. So astronomy is basically the description of looking at the night sky, looking through telescopes, but also it is the name for the field of study. So astronomers work in the field of astronomy. And I kind of already mentioned this. Most astronomers use a variety of different telescopes. So one of the ways that we can see further than we can normally with the human eye is that we use telescopes. So telescopes big and small. When I was a kid, I had a small telescope, and it was good for looking at the moon, but it wasn't very good for looking at stars. So it was good enough to look at the moon. It was kind of a kid's telescope. So anyways, this is a telescope. Let me jump over and see if there are some questions. I know there are. I'm going to try and make sure I do the ones that relate to space. So if I skip your question, it probably was not a space-related question. Ajne has the first question. Hi, Ajne. Don't the stars and the moon look amazing in the night sky? Yes, I just love looking at them. When I was a kid, I used to lay on the grass at night and look at the night sky in the summer. Question is, do the words space traveler and astronaut refer to the same person? And I hope you're good, Bob. Yes, I'm doing really good. Thanks for asking. So generally we use astronaut to refer to someone who goes to space and comes back right now. We use the word space traveler more in movies and film and books about space because we do travel to the space station and back, but we haven't really traveled further than the moon. So the word space traveler is used a lot in movies. So you'll say, oh, the person was, it's a space traveler, someone who has traveled from Mars to Jupiter in a fictional story. So good question, like it. Let's see here. Let's see. Dimitro says, from the Ukraine, hi Bob, hi, it's -12 this morning. That is very cool. Hi Vazik Sneki, thanks for saying hi. Do you think it's possible that all the universe that we know exists inside of a black hole and that each black hole could have its own universe in it? There are mysteries yet to be solved in our world. And I don't know, I am always blown away. In English, when we say you're blown away, it's like you're amazed. I'm always amazed when they show a picture. I have one later of the number of galaxies that we can see. And a galaxy contains planets. The universe is just enormous. So I'm just amazed by it, Dimitro, for sure. Let's see. Next one is from Dimitro as well. Let me see here. Do you agree with Stephen Hawking that we shouldn't try to learn what was before and what caused the Big Bang, as it's impossible to find out? Do you actually think it's impossible? I'm just a patient person, and I feel like as scientists study the world more and more, we will unravel some of the mysteries. That's a very common English phrase, by the way. When you unravel a mystery, it's like there's something we don't understand, and when you unravel it, you learn to understand it. So who knows, we'll figure out someday. Right now, I think we don't even know what's on the bottom of the ocean in some places. Henry from Taiwan, and then we'll move on with the lesson. Henry from Taiwan says, let's see. Hi, Bob. Would you please pronounce the words spatial and special? What's the difference between spatial and spacious? Thank you. So that's a tricky one because spatial refers to thinking about how things relate to each other in the space they're in. And spacious refers to an area that's just really big. So this classroom is quite spacious. Okay, spatial is a little trickier to explain. You should look that one up. But definitely I can tell you that this room is spacious, especially when I'm the only person sitting in it. Let's see here. Gaga, and then we'll move on. I think I said we were moving on, but Gaga says, I'm glad to see you again. Thanks, Gaga. Thanks for being here. Have you ever used a telescope? Do you like learning about the origin of the universe? Yes, I have used a telescope as a kid. And close to me, there is a park. And sometimes in the summer, people come with really big telescopes, and you can go and visit, and they let you look through their telescope. So I have looked through a telescope before. And about the origin of the universe, we'll have to let that mystery solve itself. Hey, often telescopes are found in what we call an observatory. Let me say that again, observatory. So an observatory is a place where the government or maybe a university builds a building with a really large telescope inside of it. Let me say that one more time because it's a hard word to pronounce. Observatory. So often if you drive outside of the city, you can find places where either the government or a university that is studying space has built an observatory. Excuse me. I have never been to an observatory. I would really like to go to an observatory someday. As Ajni mentioned, the person who goes to space we call an astronaut, and this is a gender neutral term. So men and women are both called astronauts. It's not like actor, actress, where we sometimes use different words. So if you are an astronaut, you wear a spacesuit. I don't think I actually have that word, but this astronaut is wearing a spacesuit, and they are out in space. It looks like they are above the Earth, so they're probably somewhere very close. But the person who goes to space is called an astronaut. They go to space in one of two ways. Either they take a rocket, so you can see here this rocket has blasted off. When a rocket goes up in the sky, we say that it has blasted off from Earth. In fact, when we count down as kids, we say 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Because that's what we would hear when we watched shows where they were launching rockets. So a rocket gets launched. When the engines fire up, we say that, you know, there's a blast off. They actually, I think the official term is liftoff. You know, we have liftoff, but that is a rocket. And if you are from the United States, the United States also has a space shuttle. I believe Russia has a space shuttle as well. I'm not sure if it's still operational, but a space shuttle has two components. So it has booster rockets, which take it into space, and then the shuttle itself can actually return to Earth. So that's kind of a cool way to go to space. And then if you study rockets, it's called rocket science. And I just wanted to show you this. Rocket science is the study of rockets. But we have a phrase in English, it's not rocket science. And what this means is, if you're teaching someone to do something that's really simple and they're having trouble understanding how to do it, like we would sarcastically say, come on, it's not rocket science. So a good example would be if you were trying to teach someone to tie their shoes and they couldn't figure out how to do it. And you would say, come on, it's not rocket science. So basically what you're saying is, hey, it's actually quite easy. You should be able to do this. Let me jump to the questions. I just want to say hi to a bunch of people in the chat. Thank you for the kind words. We have Marcin Slomoka, who is from Poland, here for the first time. Hello, Marcin. And we have Jung-hoon from South Korea, who is a big fan. Thanks. And Naeem Ullah from Afghanistan. People from all over the world. Thanks for being here. We are looking at today, oh, now I've mixed up my papers. We are looking at space. So we're doing a few English words and phrases about space. And I hope that you are able to learn a little bit more English. Let me jump to the questions. Eugene Liu, who is Canadian, says, as a Canadian, I greatly appreciate your hard work and showing the cultural values of our Canadians to the world. You're welcome, Eugene. I just like doing it. I know people have been thanking me for all of the hard work. It is a lot of work, but please know that I do actually make a little bit of money from the ads, so it is worth my while to do this, but that isn't the main reason I do it. I do it because I really enjoy this. I think that when you look at the things that you can do in life, I just really love making YouTube videos to help people learn English. Eugene from Etobicoke, I think this is the same Eugene, says, can you make your video into bilingual subtitles so that more people can understand our Canadian culture? I might do that in the future. Right now I have a plan to do what I'm doing. I'm going to hold this schedule for a few more months, and then I'm going to think about what else I can possibly do. So let's do that. Lolly has a question that I can't answer. She says, hi Bob, the Canadian, please, what's the difference between a meteor and a meteorite? Merci. So I don't actually know. So a meteor is something that falls out of space through the atmosphere and hits the ground. And a meteorite is the same thing. It might just be the size, Lolly, but as far as I know, I think they are the same thing. Jesse the Canadian says, how are you? What is the difference between interspace and intraspace? Hard question. I don't actually know. You will need to look that up. I'm going to guess that interspace might relate to actual space, and intraspace might refer to when you go smaller into atoms, but I don't know. I'm just an English teacher. Sometimes I don't know the answer. Penguin asks this question. What are your views on extraterrestrial life? So in English, extraterrestrial life or aliens would be people that come from other planets or creatures that come from other planets. What is my view? Until the day that maybe we actually see someone from another planet, I don't think there are people from other planets. I'm just not sure on that one. I just don't think they exist. So, but I love watching movies with extraterrestrials in them for sure. And then Frankie from Hong Kong has the same question. Do you believe that there are any creatures like aliens in space? At this point in my life, I would say I don't think so. Until a spaceship lands in my backyard, I'm not going to think so. Hey, so really close to us, we have the sun, which is actually a star. So in our solar system, the center of our solar system is the sun. All of the planets orbit around the sun, and it is a star, and it provides a lot of solar energy to our planet. The other thing that's quite visible in our night sky is the moon. I have always loved the moon. I love when we have a full moon because when you have a full moon, you can actually see at night. It's really, really cool to go walk outside when there is a full moon. I really, really enjoy that. So the sun, the moon, and the stars. So the reason I made this plural is because we usually refer to all three of them together sometimes. So we'll say, if you look up, you can see the sun, the moon, and the stars. So the stars are all the small pinpoints of light that you can see that just kind of make the night sky beautiful. I really enjoy looking up at the stars. In fact, this will be different for all of you. But at night, we have different constellations. Let me say that again, constellations. So I'm not sure if you can see it on here. Let me turn it a bit. But this constellation right here, this group of stars we call the Big Dipper. So I'm going to put that here. So it kind of looks like, I'm not sure you can see it. It kind of looks like the scoop that you use to get soup. So we call that constellation the Big Dipper. And we have a lot of different constellations in our night sky. What's interesting about constellations, or the groups of stars that we have given names to. So we look up and we see, a group of stars and we say, that's the Big Dipper, that's the Little Dipper. The cool thing about constellations is, depending on where you are in the world, in the north or south hemisphere, you will see different constellations. I'm not really good at knowing all the constellations or what you see in the northern sky or the southern sky, but English people hearing English lessons. Yeah, I'm not sure what that question is, but we have constellations. So I would someday like to travel to see constellations from Australia or from somewhere in the southern part of the planet. In our area, we also have the North Star. In fact, if you want to find the North Star, you find the Big Dipper and you use these two stars as a guide, and then you can find the North Star. So it's really cool if you're in the northern hemisphere. The North Star lets you know where north is. Let me just have a drink for a sec here. Anyways, I mentioned this word a few times. When you look at the sun and the planets orbit the sun. So orbit is the word we use to describe when a planet goes around the sun. We also have the moon orbits the earth. So when one thing in space goes around another thing, we say that this is its orbit, but we also would say it is orbiting. So you can use it in two different ways. So these lines represent the orbits of the different planets. And once again, just a quick review. Here are the planets. I'm not sure, I'm going to try and hold this up so you can actually see the names. So we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Those are them. And sometimes I'll just give you just a funny description. Sometimes people call the planet Uranus, they pronounce it Uranus, but that's kind of a funny thing because part of that word actually refers to your butt on the body. You'll have to look that up. But it's kind of a funny thing that kids say to each other. They mispronounce the planet Uranus as Uranus, and then that's kind of a funny thing to say to people. But don't say that. It's informal. Very much kind of a funny joke. So anyways, those are the planets in our solar system. You can see that the Earth is quite tiny compared to the other two planets that come next, which are quite large. So someday, I think we will go to the planets. I think that will be really cool, and I think that will be really, really fun. I'm not sure if my live stream, our solar system, is working well. It doesn't look great on my screen, so I hope that you are getting a good live stream from me right now. I think I might have forgotten to set it to a higher rate, but that's okay. In the solar system, we also have asteroids. So an asteroid is a large chunk of rock that you find in space. It could be made of metal or rock or other elements, but in space we have asteroids that are floating around. I think there is actually an asteroid belt if you go further out in space. So we have asteroids. Earlier, Lolly asked about the difference between a meteor and a meteorite. So a meteor is a large rock that falls from space. I think a meteorite is the same thing. You can correct me if I'm wrong. You can look it up, but we have meteors and we have meteorites. Let me just try something here for a sec. I want to see if I can fix something here. Not sure if I can do it. I'm going to just try this for a moment and we'll see if it actually works. I'm changing the broadcast resolution of the live stream while I'm doing the live stream. Hopefully I don't break anything. We'll see in a moment though. Let me check for questions. Sorry, I have been a little negligent. Eugene from Etobicoke says, for our future, we have to use more green energy. We have to apply more green energy. I believe you are correct. We need to find better ways to create energy on our planet. I think solar is one of the best ways, but it only works when the sun's shining, doesn't it? Let's see here. Carol English Coach. Oh, let me see here. Carol English Coach says, what's your favorite movie about space? I love the movie The Martian with Matt Damon. It's also a book that I often recommend to people. But the movie The Martian is a story of Matt Damon about an astronaut who goes to Mars and then things start to go wrong. So I love the movie The Martian. It's a great movie. Romy has the next question. Romy says, "Hi Bob, could you please teach us the pronunciation of sun, the sun up in the sky, and son, which is a boy who was born to you?" So they're the same pronunciation, sun and sun. We say them exactly the same way. Next one, let's see here. What is the meaning of the word astro? Thank you, and our family really enjoys watching your videos. So astro is kind of a short form for something that is maybe from space. So sometimes in cartoons, they'll have Astro Boy, which is maybe a boy who came from space. Or you'll say, yeah, that's my best example. So it's kind of a short form to describe something from space. That's what it would be. Let's see. Beata has the next question. Would you like to make an interplanetary journey or simply a science fiction one? I would love to go to another planet, but I think I'm probably too old. I think I've missed the boat on that one. I think the chance of me in my lifetime traveling to space or to another planet, the chance is pretty slim. That means that it's probably not going to happen. Madi says, "Hype of the how's it going? I hope to be very well. Do you believe it has 7 sky and 7 earth, and do you think the earth is flat all around?" You know, I'm pretty sure the earth is round, but I don't want to get into a crazy discussion about whether the earth is flat or not. I'm pretty sure the sun and the moon and the stars and the earth are all in some 3-dimensional world. Manny says, "What's the difference between the Big Dipper and the constellation?" So the Big Dipper is a constellation. Constellation is the word that we use to describe things like the Big Dipper. So that's how I would describe it. Let me just check something here. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure. Oh, maybe things are working better than I thought. I'm just having some small technical difficulty. Let's see, Dimitro. Oh, I love this question, Dimitro. This is a great question. So Dimitro says, from the Ukraine, "Do you ever use the word cosmos to refer to space?" And we don't. We do sometimes. Like Carl Sagan wrote a book called Cosmos, and we do kind of use cosmos. But it's interesting you bring that up, because I know there's the word cosmonaut, which is the same as an astronaut, but usually from the Russian space program. So obviously that's from the word cosmos. Let's see here. Maribrit says, "Good morning, Bob. Do you think that is right? What happens in the earth is caused by astronomy. By the way, I've been to Arecibo Observatory." Oh, you've been to that big observatory. That is very cool. I think you're talking about astrology, which is prediction of the future using heavenly bodies. Oh, I spelled that wrong. So astrology is actually the study of trying to predict your future by looking at the stars and other things. So I don't really believe that works. Let's see. Polly has the next question. Polly says, "I'm specializing in structural engineering." That is very cool. That's awesome. "Regarding space, do we have space structure in the field which normally refers to long span structure like the airport?" Oh, that's interesting. So when you build huge buildings, you need to span a large area, or you have to cover a lot of space. So we do use the word space to refer to the area around us as well. Next question is from Eugene. Getting here. Eugene says, "Some religions believe that when you do meditation, space has multiple structures or dimensions, maybe, and there are about 7 different spaces." Possibly. I mean, these are things that are hard to determine scientifically. Let's see here. Artem says, "Hello, Bob. Hello, Robert. Big thanks for the job you're doing. Can you say a couple words about Russia?" Earlier, all I said was that cosmonaut is the Russian term for Astronaut. Not sure if you guys still use that term, but there I said something about Russia. Let's see here. Oh, this is from Frankie. So Frankie's from Hong Kong says, "Hi Bob, have you ever seen the polar lights?" So I think you're talking about what we call the northern lights, which is Aurora Borealis. So the northern lights are these beautiful green glowing lights that you can see in the northern part of Canada sometimes at night, or in northern Europe and other northern parts of the world. And I have seen the northern lights a couple of times as a kid, and they were beautiful. But hey, let's get back to the lesson. Sometimes at night you will see a shooting star. It's actually a meteorite coming to Earth, but because it is bright and we see it fly through the sky, we originally, a long time ago, I think people thought it was a star falling out of the sky. But this is what we would call a shooting star. And sometimes at night you can see shooting stars at different times of the year. Sometimes a comet will go past our planet. One of the most popular comets was Halley's Comet. But every once in a while, astronomers will tell everyone in the world that in a few nights, a comet will go past the Earth and you'll be able to see it in the night sky. So that's really cool. Let me get a sip of water here before I lose my voice. Sometimes the moon goes in front of the sun and we have an eclipse. Let me pronounce that again for you. Eclipse, an eclipse. So there's two kinds of eclipses. There's a solar eclipse and there's a lunar eclipse. When the moon goes in front of the sun, you can't look. You can't look when the moon goes in front of the sun because you can damage your eyes. And I think the last eclipse that we had was about maybe 4 years ago. It was really cool because in the middle of the day, the moon went in front of the sun and it got really, really dark outside. So an eclipse, let me pronounce it again, eclipse. An eclipse is really, really cool. Let's see. English Doctor, I will report your channel. That's interesting, English Doctor. I'm not sure why you would report my channel. English Doctor, I asked 1 hour before. I will report this channel. You don't answer my questions. Hey, Todd, you want to just kick English Doctor out? I think it's time for English Doctor to just go. English Doctor, generally you ask the questions using the form, and then I answer the questions from the form. So please be polite. I really, really like to help people, but if you are upset because I haven't answered your question, you just need to be a little bit more patient. Always a good thing to be patient. Anyways, we live in a galaxy. So a galaxy is a collection of stars and planets, and we live in a galaxy called the Milky Way. So the Milky Way galaxy is our galaxy. Hold on for 1 sec though. Just a sec. I'm saying that as if it's true, and I want to make sure I look it up. Yes, the Milky Way is our galaxy. I was taught that in school, but all of a sudden I doubted it for a moment. So we live in a galaxy called the Milky Way. And a galaxy, again, is a group of stars and planets and nebulas, maybe some black holes. There's a whole bunch of different things in a galaxy. And all of the galaxies together make up the universe. And the universe is immeasurable. We are not able to measure the size of the universe. It's just enormous. I don't even want to say, I don't even want to guess how many galaxies there are in the universe or how many planets there are in the universe. But the universe is everything that exists. By the way, the Milky Way is also the name of a chocolate bar. If you are interested, you could look that up. Let me jump back to the questions for a minute. Shen, let's see here. Shen's question is, by the way, I appreciate all of you who are watching. Thank you for being patient and polite. It's very, very awesome of you. Shen says, hi Bob, have a good day. I hope you have a good day too, Shen. So the topic is about space. Do you like the movie Guardians of the Galaxy? Yes, I liked both of them from Marvel. Both of those movies, good science fiction movies. I really enjoyed both movies. Super fun to watch, really, really funny. Let's see here. Frankie says, what adjective would you use to describe the high temperature of the sun? I'm not sure. I would say it's really, really hot. It's extreme heat, so we could put the word extreme in front. Yeah, I wouldn't know exactly how to describe it, except that it is hot. Let's see here. Not sure about this question, Julius, but I'll try to answer it. My name is Julius. Which is first when building a sentence, space or time? Hard to say, but I would say that just build the sentence the best way you can. I'm not quite sure how to answer that question, so sorry about that. Nahid Hamid says, hi, best teacher ever, Bob. Do you guys believe this? I don't really believe this, but yeah, best teacher ever, Bob, maybe. What is the largest planet in our solar system? So it's Jupiter. So Jupiter is the largest planet. There we go. Hi, Leah Morozova. Thank you for telling me that my lessons are helpful. I'm glad that you enjoy them. Let's see here. Ogie. Bob, have you ever seen a comet? Do Canadians have a tradition when they see a shooting star, such as making a wish? Thank you. I have never seen a comet, but I have seen a shooting star, and there is a tradition that you make a wish when you see a shooting star. I don't usually do that, but there is a tradition that you would do that if you saw a shooting star. Let's see. Eugene from Etobicoke says, we went to Yellowknife to see the Northern Lights. Very spectacular. Yes, the further north you go in Canada, the easier it is to see the Northern Lights, and they are spectacular. Let me do one more and we'll get back to the lesson. So Frankie says, hi Bob, what is a parallel universe? Thank you. So a parallel universe is a belief that we live in one universe, but that there are multiple versions of the universe and they exist in parallel to each other. So it's a theory. I don't know if it's actually true, but there is a possibility maybe that there are parallel universes. Maybe there's another you in a parallel universe. Let's see. It says here, Youssef says, hi Bob, I hope your day is full of ice cream and donuts. I would love it, but then I think I would get pretty fat. Is it true that YouTube back up their videos in the satellite, like they use satellites as memory cards? I'm not sure, I don't think they do, but you just mentioned satellites. The next word is satellite. This is a hard word for people to pronounce. Let me say it again, satellite, satellite. So a satellite is something that people on Earth put in space, and we use this to do a couple of things. One is for communication. So we use satellites we send signals to the satellite, and signals come back from the satellite. And we also use satellites, sometimes satellites have telescopes in them to look into deep space. So that was a great question. That was very timely. But yes, sometimes we have satellites in space. I think there's a lot of satellites in space right now. And also there are things called space stations. So a space station is a permanent place or long-term place where people can go to space. Astronauts from different countries can go to space and they can see things there. So What is Love says, hi Bob, first time I watch you live on YouTube. Well, welcome to the live lesson. That is great for you. And Nixon says, oh no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Yeah, I should stop reading from the chat because I get lost in the lesson. Anyways, in space, orbiting the planet Earth, sometimes we build space stations and they serve as a place where astronauts can go and they can do experiments. They can grow plants in space. They can do different exercises in space and do tests on the human body. So a space station is a semi-permanent place in orbit where people can live and do some studies and experiments. Let me jump back. Let me do a few more questions, and then we will wrap this up. Dimitro says, I actually look at Carl Sagan's Cosmos. I read the book and I recommend it to everyone. By the way, Carl Sagan is of Ukrainian descent. It is a great book. I read the book Cosmos about 20 years ago. And there's also a television show based on the book called Cosmos. Just really fascinating. I really, really enjoyed it. I do also, Dimitro, I also recommend that as a good book to read. Let's see. Many people... Oh, Eugene says, many people think that a meteorite shower, so that's when a lot of meteorites fall at once, is a bad omen or bad luck. I haven't heard that, but possibly. Ersin from Turkey, this is what, yes. So about how hot is the surface of the sun, how to describe it. Ersin from Turkey says, it is immeasurably hot. That would be a great way to describe it. Like you can't measure it. It's so hot. Polly says, there are just so many UFO cases. Oh, by the way, a UFO is an unidentified flying object, and some people think that they've seen UFOs. Polly says that so many UFO cases observed by human beings so far. I myself witnessed a UFO before, and I filmed it as well. Have you ever had this experience? I have never seen anything odd in the night sky. Notice I use the phrase night sky a lot. We are, in English, often use that phrase to describe space as well. Let's see here. Marnia. So Marna Murdrax says, could you please pronounce the names of all the planets in the solar system? Yeah, let me find my sheet. Let me find it back quick. Oh, my pile of papers is a mess. It's hard for me to find stuff. I had a sheet, didn't I? You're all getting bored now, aren't you? Well, Bob the Canadian searches for his pile. Here, we'll do it this way. So we have, from the sun, we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Hopefully you got that. You can rewind and play that back if you need that. I'm Aline says, how can I work at NASA? Be really, really smart, do really, really well in school, and be the top of your class in everything, and study astrophysics and all of the different things that you would need to study. Let's see. Frankie from Hong Kong says, Bob, do you know what space junk is? So space junk is the more things we send into space, we don't always bring everything back. So around the planet Earth is something that we call junk. There's space junk. There's just all kinds of broken satellites and pieces of rockets around our planet, and there's a lot of it. There is a lot of space junk. Ming Husun says, 2 questions from Taiwan. I've got 2 questions. Do you watch Doctor Who? Yes. I like Doctor Who, and I do watch it. And do you believe in time travel? No. Should we do a little experiment? Let's wait and see if Bob from the future shows up in this desk in the next second. No, he didn't show up. So I don't think time travel exists. maybe someday, but we'll see. Fabio from Italy wants to know, are there any phrasal verbs connected to space? There are, and I would have to do some research on that, but there are definitely things like to space out. Like when you space out, you're kind of not paying attention to something. Let's see here. Have you ever been to Area 51? Last question here. Christina from Ukraine says, have you ever been to Area 51? I have not been to Area 51 at all. So anyways, this is, if you have a chance, sorry, I'm typing here. This is the end of this video. I'm putting a link in the chat though. If you have not watched my video from this past Tuesday, you should go watch it. Thank you so much for joining me for this lesson. If you're new here, please hit that red subscribe button. And don't forget to re-watch this video tomorrow with the subtitles on if there were parts that you did not understand. I'm Bob the Canadian. You're learning English with me. Thank you for joining me for this lesson about space. I hope that you are all having a great Friday. I hope that you all have a great weekend. And just to repeat, my latest video is linked in the chat. If you have not watched it, it's great to watch. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, do all those things. And please do come and watch this video again tomorrow if there were parts that you didn't understand. I'm just gonna thank everybody. Thanks for watching. You are all awesome people. I do really think that, by the way. It's awesome that 500 and something of you give me a thumbs up. I always ask for thumbs up. And don't forget to re-watch this tomorrow with subtitles on to reinforce what you have learned today. You are all very welcome. Thanks for watching once again. I'm gonna push the button. Bye everyone. Live lesson tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget that. I will be live from home tomorrow night. Open English question and answer session. I hope to see you there if you can make it. Anyways, Bob the Canadian here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I am now